your visibility will mostly come from content credibility, but it will only be as effective as the website is solid. So a lot of times we can come in and go, look, they got to, like one of our brand new clients is a perfect example. They have, I think it was 1,400 pages of content over 10 years. But the structure is a nightmare. And so we can come in and more than likely, they'll have a return on their investment within 60 days because they have so much for us to work with. And we come in, we fix the page speed, we fix the user experience, we fix the mobile friendliness, update a couple technical things that I'm not going to bore everybody with, and instantaneously just amplifies those 1,400 pages.
That's interesting. I had a question earlier that I wanted to ask. Have you read the book, They Ask You Answer by Marcus Sheridan?
Yeah.
Essentially, we went through this. I like to think you'd enjoy it, but you might be like, this is hogwash, since you know so much more about SEO than I do. But it was it wasn't so much SEO as much as it was like content. I mean, I'm sure to an extent there's an SEO component to it, but the gist of They Ask You Answer is to have a website that is so essentially informative, right? It's kind of the antithesis to where most people are like, don't put pricing on your website. It's like there's, at least in the agency world, right? And it was more of this, no. You should have so much good information to answer all the questions that they have and make it as easy for them to get that information as possible. And it was, I guess for me, it was kind of a different way at looking at content because, coming from the direct response side of things, there's there's the creative that gets to the headline, that gets to the copy, which gets to the page, and there's like this marathon of sprints, if you will, and so you're not always providing the desired information on the front end, right? You try to get them into a funnel, and so it was I guess for me it was a different approach to thinking about content, thinking about how, like, getting in the mind of a consumer and giving them what they want. And so I don't know, I felt like you might enjoy that book, because it feels like it complements a lot of what you're talking about right now.
I totally agree. Yeah. So, I can give a reply from the SEO side and then also social media side. So let's talk about what is the biggest search engine there is, right? Google. What is it? Why is it so effective? Because it just gives you the answer. Okay, what is the biggest video platform in the world? YouTube. Why? Because it just gives you the answer. What is the biggest knowledge-based website in the world?
Yeah.
Wikipedia. It just gives you the answer. So from an SEO perspective, the sites that position themselves well, like we talked earlier, are the ones that make Google look good. And Google wants to give people the answers. Now, from a social media perspective, it's how I built my agency. So I built it into a multi-million-dollar agency, and I've never spent a dollar on ads because I give away everything. If you go follow me on social media and you ask me an SEO question, I will tell you the answer. And the reason why, like, I wrote a book, and in the book, I give away the entire blueprint for my agency. Because in my mind, there's only 3 types of content consumers. And so the first one is the person that takes your advice and runs. Okay, well, they were never your client anyway, but you just helped somebody. So now you increased your reputation and your reach. The second type of content consumer is the person that may not need your services now, but they do later, or they know somebody that will later. Okay, great. Well, now you just increased your lead pipeline. And the third type of content consumer is the person that needs your thing. So I see no reason not to give away everything for free.
That was a lesson I actually learned when I wrote a book as well. I thought that, coming from the marketing angle, I'm like, okay, so this will get us more leads and we'll get, more interest. And that's a component of it. So I'm not trying to act like it doesn't happen. But what I realized was, you had kind of expanded on it to 3 buckets, but I noticed that there were 2 main categories. There were people that couldn't afford to work with me, and that was the actual value I was able to give to them so that they could do something, and I felt like there was a reputational enhancement that happened, even though I didn't make the transaction there. There's referrals, there's, just you get the reviews, there's just good vibes about that. And then the other thing was, I noticed that a lot of the people who were my ideal client and they wanted to hire me, they got the book and they would scan through it to make sure the pages were full. And then they're like, okay, cool. You must actually know what he's talking about. Yeah. And it was an interesting to me, that was kind of an interesting learning curve, just to start to go, okay, well, I'm actually okay to help the people for free or for the cost of a book, because whatever. I mean, it's impact, right? It's like that was the goal all along. It's like, yeah, I want to get paid, but you end up, that's kind of I learned that's a lag metric. You know, you're gonna get paid. Like, you got to do the thing first. You know, and so that was interesting.
It's like the delayed gratification we talked about, right? So there are ways to make money faster, but are they sustainable? So if you're willing to have the patience to build up that reputation, I'm a living testament that I don't have to fight for leads whatsoever. And because I put it out there and I give away all the answers, people trust me. They build a relationship with you. Subconsciously, they go, Preston knows what he's talking about. So that by the time they reach out to Preston, it's not, it breaks down all the sales walls. It's no longer, how does this work? And this question, that question, and do I got to give you my firstborn? And, can I call you at midnight? It's just like, how does this, how do we proceed? The end.
No, that's a great position to be. That actually leads me to a question I was thinking earlier. How did you end up landing the Utah Jazz as a client?
By giving away everything for free. So I ended up getting 3 clients in 1 week from this exchange. So what had happened was there was somebody on LinkedIn. I can't remember if I made a post or somebody tagged me or what, but there was some sort of engagement on LinkedIn. And so I'm in Utah. The majority of my clients are not in Utah. This guy happened to be. And he happened to be like 20 minutes from where I'm at. And I don't remember what the question was, but he had a question. I looked at their website. I solved their problem, gave them the answer. And I don't ask for anything in return, right? It's just like, if you're either in or you're out, right? And I'm not going to fight you for it. So here's the answer. And if I hear from you, great, but I'm not going to chase you. And so the guy ended up following up and going, okay, cool. What would it look like to work with you? Oh, by the way, we're 20 minutes away. So I said, cool, I'll pull some information, audited their website, all the stuff we talked about. How quickly does it load? Is it mobile friendly? What's your content strategy? Do you have external credibility? And I brought him to the meeting and I went, here's what you're looking at. Here's the pros of your website. Here's the cons. Here's how it looks like to work with me. The end. Didn't chase him, nothing. So what ended up happening was, and I get this all the time, that he followed up a couple days later and he says, what was so cool about you coming in and breaking things down? As he goes, not only did you tell us why we should work with you, you told us why we should not work with you. And you told me all the things that suck about SEO and that it takes time and not to waste our time, not to waste your time. And so because of that transparency, he says, we're in, and I introduced you to my neighbor. And so his neighbor reaches out and he goes, hey, I'm moving to Vegas. I'm helping this law firm. Can you tell us what it's like to look at this law firm? Did the same thing, broke it down. Here's your ups and downs of your website. Here's what it's like to work with you. Cool. That was amazing. By the way, the reason why I'm moving to Vegas to work with these guys is because I'm exiting the Utah Jazz. My last position is to fill the marketing roles. Can you do the same thing for the Utah Jazz?
Sick.
So from one LinkedIn engagement, I did the same thing and got 3
that's
clients.
Legit, man.